So, what if a dictionary wasn't just about defining words? What if it was about defining an entire people? Today, we're going to look at a book that does exactly that. It's basically a key to a foundational and, let's be honest, often overlooked part of Brazil's national identity.
Right, so this is the Afro-Brazilian School Dictionary by author and musician Ney Lopes. Now, this is not your typical reference book you had in school. No way. It's designed to open up the rich, complex, and super vibrant world of Afro-Brazilian culture for everyone, especially for young people.
And the author's mission? It's crystal clear right from the jump. This is about more than just definitions. It's about getting knowledge out there, making it accessible, and using it as a direct tool in the fight against racism. And to really get why a tool like this is so vital, we've got to look at the history it's built on. Okay, so this story, it doesn't begin in Brazil. It starts way across the Atlantic, with one of the largest and, frankly, most brutal forced migrations in all of human history. More than 5 million people. Just try to wrap your head around that number for a second. Brazil absorbed over 40% of all enslaved people brought to the Americas. That's a staggering figure that absolutely fundamentally shaped the country from its very beginning. And we're not just talking about numbers here. These were people from incredibly diverse and sophisticated civilizations. They came from huge regions, mostly what we now know as West Africa, home to peoples like the Yoruba, Fon, and Ashanti, and Central Africa, the heartland of the Bantu-speaking peoples. They carried with them entire worlds, languages, religions, technologies, and traditions that were about to be planted in completely new soil. And out of this immense tragedy, something incredible happened. An unbelievably vibrant and resilient culture was forged, a culture that, seeps into every single aspect of Brazilian life today. Let's look at just a couple of examples that are defined in this dictionary. I mean, you can literally taste this legacy. Acarajé, for instance, isn't just some delicious street food you grab in Bahia. It's a direct culinary link to West Africa. It's a taste of history fried in palm oil. You can hear this legacy in the music. The atabe drum, it's so much more than an instrument. It's the sacred heartbeat of religious ceremonies like candomblé, and its rhythms bled right into the popular music Brazil is famous for, like samba. And you can see this legacy in these massive cultural celebrations. An afoxe procession during Carnival is just this powerful public spectacle. It's a parade, sure, but it's also a moving, breathing expression of spiritual identity. It literally brings the sacred traditions of candomblé out into the streets for everyone to see. But here's the crucial turning point in this story. Despite these massive contributions to the nation's culture, its soul, its economy, the official end of slavery in 1888, well, that was really just an ending on paper. It wasn't followed by any real social programs to integrate millions of formerly enslaved people into society as full citizens. And that's the question that really hangs over modern Brazil. The answer? Well, it lies in a history of deliberate exclusion. You had laws that made it nearly impossible for non-whites to own land, an education system that just perpetuated poverty. The legacy of slavery was basically replaced by a legacy of systemic inequality. And the data? Well, the data is stark. Just take a look at these numbers from 2003. The average monthly income for a white man was more than double that of a black man. That's not just a gap, that's a chasm. And it reflects generations of blocked opportunities. Now, you might think, okay, but things must have improved over time. The data tells a really different story. Incredibly, the gap in years of schooling between black and white Brazilians actually got wider between 1960 and 2000. Think about that. More than a century after abolition, the path to progress was, in some ways, actually getting steeper. In this exclusion from money and education, it's mirrored in political power. While making up over half the population, Afro-Brazilians in 2012 held less than 10% of the seats in the lower house of Congress, and just a tiny 2.5% in the Senate. A majority of the people with a minority of the power. And this is the context the Afro-Brazilian School Dictionary lands in and tackles head-on. It's not just some passive record of the past. Nope, it's an active tool. It gives you the vocabulary to understand this reality and to start building a different future. So it defines and explains these big structural tools for change, like ação afirmativa, affirmative action. It makes concepts like university quotas and other policies accessible, It turns these abstract political debates into understandable tools for social justice. But as the dictionary shows, policy is only one part of the puzzle. It connects these big ideas to the deeply personal and communal goal of rebuilding autoestima, or self-esteem. And it says right there that this feeling of self-worth has been seriously shaken by slavery and racism.
And that brings us right back to the author's final powerful message. This dictionary is more than a book, it's an instrument. An instrument for building pride, for solidifying identity, and for forging a more just future. It kind of leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? If words can be used to erase a people's history, can they also be the very tools we use to build it all back up, maybe even stronger than before?